There have been over 130,000 games released in the entire history of Steam. Of those games, less than 15 of them have a higher rating than the one I want to talk about today. I'm not sure I've ever seen a game with a community so dedicated and so passionate about the source material, and even stranger still, it isn't just because of the quality. No, it's something far deeper and more interesting. This obsession stems from the fact that no one, not even the most diehard fans of this game, actually understand what it is. Naturally, I wanted to try it myself to see if it really was the one-of-a-kind enigma that people make it out to be. So allow me to unravel the theories, unpack the gameplay, and analyze the characters to finally explain why no one can understand. My name is Kevin, you're watching MH Swooser, and considering this is a game, I'd like to start with the gameplay. So what is Deltarune? Well, speaking strictly on a mechanical level, Deltarune is an RPG. However, much like Undertale before it, you don't actually have to hurt the enemies that you encounter. You certainly can do so, but the game very gently encourages you not to. Whoa, what are you doing? I said it encourages you not to hurt things, jeez. Instead, you can choose to spare them and end the fight without harming anyone. This may look like a problem though. None of your combat skills besides healing actually matter, since you're not going to use them outside of a few extremely specific encounters. And when I say a few, I mean literally 1.5 so far. For that reason then, while the rest of Deltarune is great, the combat seems a bit lackluster at a glance. That couldn't be further from the truth though. You see, while combat is turn-based, to avoid damage you control this little red heart and dodge whatever gets thrown at you inside of this green box. You can even move the heart over certain things to interact with them, like green healing items or subscribe buttons. It's actually one of the most unique combat systems I've ever seen. It's this brilliant blend of two completely different genres, both turn-based and bullet hells, that creates a wonderful contrast in the combat as you jump between the two. What's especially cool about this is that So what is Deltarune? Well, speaking strictly on a mechanical level, Deltarune is kinda like Mega Man Zero or Hollow Knight Silksong. You play as a character with a sword on a 2D plane, fight bosses, and complete platforming sections to advance through the story. All of the levels here have their own unique mechanics that add a ton of variety to each individual area. The castle stage has these flowers that you can launch off of when you hit them, and in the fields, you've got gates that you can dash through for sections that are almost like a mini Sonic the Hedgehog stage. It's in this. So what is Deltarune? Well, speaking strictly on. Wait, stop. What's going on? What is this, some kind of time loop? No, that's ridiculous. There's no way this would be a time loop. Okay, fine, let's try this. Speaking strictly from a mechanical point of view, the most important thing I want to highlight when it comes to the gameplay of Deltarune is variety. A friend of mine who's far smarter than I am described Deltarune as a celebration of gaming, and in a lot of ways, it absolutely is. If I play something like Chained Echoes, I can pretty easily tell the developer was probably a fan of Chrono Trigger and maybe Xenoblade or Xenogears. All of those are in the same genre, and at a glance, it can be hard to tell what else this developer might have played growing up. That isn't a bad thing either, it's actually quite normal. The vast majority of games have just a few clear inspirations. Stardew was inspired by Harvest Moon, Hollow Knight was inspired by Metroid and Mega Man X, Crosscode was inspired by Zelda and the Mana series, you get the idea. Although Crosscode is kind of a bad example, it, along with the developer's next game, Alabaster Dawn, gave me a similar feeling to Deltarune in that they're so clearly inspired by a dozen totally different games, from Devil May Cry to Kingdom Hearts to Zelda to Xenoblade. That's a topic for another video. Let's get back to Deltarune. What makes Deltarune so interesting in this regard is that the gameplay feels like it's inspired by several totally different games. Nowhere is this more apparent than the boss fights, each of which does something that I didn't realize until I went back to do research for this video. And now that I see it, it may be my favorite aspect of the entire game. Check this out. Throughout Chapter 3, you're asked to perform these wacky minigames. These are extremely similar to something like WarioWare or Rhythm Heaven in that each one feels totally different from the last. You start with a cooking minigame where you have to dodge flames that slide across the counter while catching food and tossing it to the customers. Both before and after this cooking minigame, you'll be tossed into a top-down section that's a pretty clear reference to the first Legend of Zelda. Now, despite the time loop, I wasn't just making up that turn-based stuff at the start. The skeleton of this game, no, obviously not him. Please only put relevant images on the screen. Sorry, like I was saying, the skeleton of this game really is a turn-based RPG, so these types of minigames are completely different from what you're used to. Yet that's not all there is here. You've got a Wild West minigame where you shoot bandits on a train while riding on a horse, or maybe that's a donkey? I don't know. And this is just Rock Band, it's not even subtle. Yet here's where all of these small references come together to form something truly special. This entire chapter is actually structured almost exactly like Rhythm Heaven. In that game, you complete a variety of rhythm-based minigames to progress. The boss stages are called remixes, and in them you quickly jump through all of the mini-games you've completed up to that point in one final test. This is exactly what you do for the boss of Chapter 3. It's basically a remix where you're asked to demonstrate your mastery over the mini-games that you've learned how to play throughout this chapter. This barely scratches the surface when it comes to Deltarune's gameplay though. You see, this idea of combining genres isn't exclusive to Chapter 3. In Chapter 2, the boss is almost a one-to-one remake of Punch-Out. You're faced with this giant mech that you have to fight in your own giant mech, and in order to defeat it, you dodge left and right and counter when you get an opening. Chapter 1's boss, funny enough, is actually quite reminiscent of Toby Fox's previous game. In this encounter, you have the option of attacking the boss or waiting things out and playing defensively until they eventually give up and stop fighting you. That was the whole idea behind Undertale's gameplay and a large part of what made the game so unique. Even the dialogue, speech, and general setup here isn't too dissimilar from the Asgore fight. You're fighting a king of a strange world who believes that combat is the only way forward, all while trying to convince him of another, more peaceful way. I mean, this line is literally just a description of Undertale. What about the Chapter 4 boss though? Sure, this time you're actually forced to go on the offensive, but it's just a normal RPG fight. There are no special minigames or mechanics, you're simply breaking its shield and attacking it. Well, that's just it. That simplicity is the key. From a gameplay point of view, it seems like the Titan doesn't fit this pattern. However, this is exactly how boss fights play out in many classic RPGs like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy. By going against the pre-established trend for this game in being a normal RPG fight, it is itself a reference to those classic RPGs. Every single boss here acts as a reference to one of the games or genres that inspired Toby Fox, and by extension, Deltarune. I don't have to talk to Toby Fox to know that he probably played Touhou, Rhythm Heaven, or WarioWare, Rock Band or Guitar Hero, Punch-Out, Final Fantasy, or any of the other games that we see referenced here. This is a large part of why I love the gameplay in Deltarune so much, and why I feel it's often overlooked. Granted, when you consider what's going on in the story part of this, it kinda makes sense, but we'll get there in a bit. First, I want to address a potential flaw with this design philosophy when it comes to the gameplay. A question that you might be asking is something like, well, if the game is made up of a ton of references, then why wouldn't I just play the games that it's referencing instead? How does the game actually stand on its own 2 feet? I won't lie to you, this question kinda stumped me for a while. I generally don't like it when games merely copy something else one-to-one instead of creating their own unique work of art. Yet, for some reason, I lost my mind when this turned into a 2D side-scroller in Chapter 5, or when the stage lights turned on in Chapter 3 to reveal a rhythm game that I used to play with my siblings before a lot of the fans of Deltarune were born. So why is that? Well, I think it boils down to 3 reasons. First, the gameplay does still feel more unique than derivative. Take the bullet hell sections for example. Toby Fox is a big Touhou fan, and these were very clearly inspired by that. However, thanks to the mixture of this with turn-based combat, you get a system that's more than the sum of its parts. It's not turn-based Touhou or bullet hell Final Fantasy, it's simply Deltarune. This is true for the bosses too. Yes, Tenna's boss fight is a Rhythm Heaven remix stage, but it's also a brilliant way to convey the idea of switching through channels on a TV. It creates this outstanding ludonarrative harmony where each scene presents a new type of gameplay that you have to adapt to. Furthermore, on the topic of ludonarrative harmony, the channel switching is an excellent way to convey Tenna's desperation and failure to stay relevant. When you endlessly surf through channels like this, you're not actually having fun. You're trying and failing to find something that sticks, which is word for word what Tenna's arc is about in this chapter. Second is the fact that these references aren't made to appeal to the widest possible audience. And I'm not saying that in a naive or optimistic way either. If you just wanted to cast the widest possible net, you would reference Fortnite or Expedition 33 or Elden Ring, not Rhythm Heaven. And listen, I love Rhythm Heaven, but if your goal was, I want to copy something that I know a lot of people already enjoy, and you chose this over these, you're not very good at your job. Combine this with the fact that Deltarune is already very clearly not a cash grab. I mean, even if you want to be as cynical as possible, so many of these choices just don't make sense unless the game was made with the express purpose of creating a unique work of art. Why would chapters 1 and 2 be free? Assuming chapters 6 and 7 are longer than 1 and 2 were, then around 25% of this game was made without making any money from it. I don't think I need to explain the specifics of why giving away stuff for free instead of selling it is not usually conducive to making money. Because of these two factors, while references in a big budget movie or a AAA game might feel like the creators going, hey, we know you like this thing, we have it too, so please buy our product. References in something like Deltarune feel like the creators going, I thought this work of art was cool, so I wanted to show appreciation for it in my own art. Finally, there's the third reason, the most simple of all. These references take place within the context of Deltarune. Not only is this the most straightforward reason they work, but it's also probably the most important. See, even if Deltarune copied something like Fortnite or GTA, the game itself is just so much bigger than the references it contains. All of this is why, from a gameplay perspective, in an almost trick question kind of way, nobody understands Okay, that didn't really feel necessary. Nobody understands what Deltarune is from a gameplay perspective. It changes so dramatically with each new chapter, and even within the individual chapters, that I'm sure well after the game is fully released, we're still going to struggle to describe exactly what you're in for when you boot it up yourself. Sometimes it's a platformer, sometimes it's an RPG, sometimes it's a dating sim? Anyway, you get it. Now, rewind a bit. I mentioned that all of this takes place within the context of Deltarune, but what does that context actually look like? Well, this is where we can get into the narrative and the theories behind this game. It's here that we'll really begin to see why it's practically impossible to understand. Did we really need to do that again? Whatever, we're moving on. You know, they say the Dark World only appears when there's no light at all. However, that level of darkness can't be achieved easily. Unless, of course, you have access to today's sponsor, the Manta Sleep Mask. In Chapter 3, Ralsei explains what would happen if you removed all of the light from an area, then went even darker still. This concept is hard to fully understand. If it's pitch black, isn't that already as dark as things can get? Well, you might think so, but I'm not kidding when I say the darkness you see when closing your eyes feels bright compared to the darkness provided by the Manta Sleep Mask. I mean, just look at this. Here's the light from my phone, and here's what it looks like when you put the mask in front of it. It's tough to describe just how effective this thing is until you try it yourself. Okay, but why does all of this stuff about darkness matter so much? Well, I'm not a scientist, so I can't give you the exact details on why this works. However, I can tell you that in my experience, the less light I'm exposed to when I'm trying to sleep, the better my sleep is. With the Manta Sleep Mask, I don't have to worry about my neighbor's floodlights turning on in the middle of the night because a moth flew near it, or the light pouring in from the hallway when my roommate decides that 4 in the morning is an excellent time to explore our place of residence. In short, if you want better sleep by blocking out light, you're not going to find a better solution than the Manta Sleep Mask. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment and use my code to get 10% off. What really stands out to me when it comes to Deltarune's story is that its tone and feeling, much like the gameplay, are incredibly varied. There are some scenes in this game that are genuinely more unsettling than most pieces of horror media that I've seen, yet at the same time, there's so much lighthearted and whimsical nonsense here too. I mean, this bit from Chapter 5 has you climb up some vines with scissors chasing you, silly enough by itself, but then you reach a chest and... Okay, chase after the fox and watch as these maybe umbrellas fly away in the wind until you eventually reach the chest that inexplicably does the same thing. Like I said, deeply unserious game. Yet in this very same chapter, if some slightly different choices were made in previous chapters, instead of chasing after flying treasure boxes, you convince your childhood friend to, yes, they just potentially themselves. No, I do not want to know what goes on in the mind of Toby Fox. There are countless examples of the absurd range in this game, and it's a large part of why it feels next to impossible to guess what'll happen next in this story. Equally, however, this is also a large part of why it's so interesting. It's not merely that we don't know what will happen, it's that we don't even know what can happen. That might sound like a semantic difference, but really think about it. Imagine I told you that yesterday I went to the soup store to buy some clothes, and paused the story when I arrived at the soup store. Based on the context, you already have a few ideas of where this story could reasonably go. Maybe I find a bunch of soup, maybe I call a friend because I'm confused as to why I can't find any clothes to buy, maybe I wander around the store until it closes and get kicked out. All of these are what could happen, and they're also almost certainly what will happen. In Deltarune's story, on the other hand, the overlap between what we imagine could happen and what actually will is frighteningly small. That said, I want to take a look at why these scenes are so deeply unsettling. I mean, the whole yourself thing is obvious, I don't think I have to explain that one. But what about my personal favorite scene in the game so far? This will perfectly lead us into what I believe is the primary theme of the game, along with what it's doing that makes it feel so disturbing. For a bit of context, there's a room in Chapter 3 called the S-Rank room. You're rated on your performance in the minigames of this chapter, and if you do well enough, you can access this illustrious and exclusive VIP area. I wasn't really expecting to enter this room, since I'm not particularly skilled at games without Monster Hunter in the title, but after doing surprisingly well at the Rock Band minigame and grabbing a few secret bonuses, I was granted the S-Rank and allowed into the room. I excitedly ran down the hall, spoke to the NPC, and as the room came into view, I saw this. I initially laughed a bit and thought, oh, I get it, the bit is that basically no one ever gets S rank, so the room is totally dilapidated. That's funny. But there was something unsettling about this place. It didn't really feel like a lighthearted joke. The music from the waiting room behind us was barely audible, and the very first NPC I spoke to gave me a tip on fighting, something the game very clearly asked me not to do up to this point. Even stranger still is the NPC on the far left standing in front of a set of doors. Said NPC claims that behind these doors is a secret game, the original version of the game that you've been playing during this chapter, a game that offers true freedom. So you go through the doors, get a quick reminder that Toby Fox was in fact a kid in the 90s and 2000s, and find a room with nothing but a console and a giant screen. Turning on the console doesn't work, as it requires a controller, and it was at this point that I thought, oh, I must have missed something, oh well, and decided to leave. Strangely though, when you do, one of the controllers is mysteriously unplugged and on the ground. Taking it and heading back inside allows you to finally try out this game that offers true freedom, whatever that's supposed to mean. The already unsettling atmosphere of the S-Rank room only gets worse here, as there's no music at all in this version of the game. As you explore, you find these monsters roaming around. They're friendly by the looks of it, and outside of them, there doesn't seem to be much here. That is, until you enter this cave and find... Nope, I'm good. Now I swear that's not the cave I entered. Wait, so then what's in this? Oh no. Despite the game claiming to offer true freedom, you don't really have a choice here. There's nowhere to go on this island. Every single cave loops back around to the sword, and you can't close the game. Well, I mean, you can literally exit the program called Deltarune on your computer or console, but in the game, you can't leave. There's no way to exit this sequence. The only way to progress is by grabbing that sword. Whatever happens next is up to the game's developer. You have no actual freedom here. You have no choice. Here, take this patent pending swooser folder and keep that idea in mind. Okay, moving on. When you grab the sword, music suddenly starts to play and it looks like we've got an actual game on our hands. The monsters outside of the cave attack you now, and you, wielding your shiny new sword, can swing back. Once you defeat every single enemy on the island, you level up, get this neat sound effect that surely doesn't reference anything important or significant, and you're finally allowed to progress further into the game. Now, there's plenty more to this game, but I'd like to stop here since we already have enough context to answer that initial question of why the game feels so unsettling, along with what I believe is the most important theme in the game. So let's break it down into 3 parts. It starts with contrast. I love contrast in games, and I talk about it pretty often. In fact, I should probably just make a video on it at some point. The reason I'm so obsessed with this concept is because contrast creates significance. You know how that first warm day of the year feels? After it's been winter for what felt like 8 months, it suddenly goes up to something like 70 degrees, or 21 for the Celsius users, and all of a sudden it almost feels hot. You're fully aware that 70 isn't hot, and yet because you've been so cold for so long, that contrast between winter and the first warm day creates a more significant feeling. The same is true for games, and of course, Deltarune. Chapter 3 was outlandishly goofy before you entered this room. We already went over the mini-games, but outside of the agonizing dread of being abandoned and left behind in a world dead set on forgetting about you as you futilely do everything in your power to desperately prevent that from happening, this is still probably the most lighthearted chapter in the game. Everything from the music, to the set pieces, to the jokes, to the overall presentation, all create this almost aggressively whimsical atmosphere, and that's intentional in the narrative as well. Tenna, the chapter's antagonist, designed the show he's hosting to be as fun and entertaining as possible. It's not supposed to be serious. That's why switching from a scene like this to this makes the latter feel so much more uncomfortable and off-putting. Next is something that plays into what I believe is one of the most important themes of the game: freedom. In an almost backwards way though, it's actually the subversion of the freedom that you've had up until now that makes this scene work so well. Let me explain. Grab that folder from earlier. As I briefly mentioned before, once you enter this game, you have no way to manually leave. You can't just pause and walk away once you see this sword and realize that there's only one path forward. No, you have to go through with it. Yes, again, you can close the program, but try to ignore that fact for now. The reason this is such a big deal is because in a way, your ability to choose has been taken away from you. You've lost your freedom. Ironically, you do still have full autonomy. You can choose where you go, when you grab the sword, what enemies you target first, and so on and so forth. Ultimately though, there is a set path here, and no matter how you may try to deviate from that path, it's totally impossible. So here's the question I'd like you to keep in mind. Are you still free in this game? This can be applied to many aspects of life. For example, is my editor free? Sure, he can call me names and put my face on a donkey all he wants, but he too has a set path that he's forced to follow. In fact, am I free? I do still have to follow the script after all. Is that still true freedom when everything I say is written down already? I can change my cadence, my inflection, the speed with which I deliver the lines, and yet they still have to be delivered. We end at the same point regardless of what I try to do. Even this fourth wall breaking realization that I'm following a script and can't deviate from it is itself written in the script. All of this is true for games as well. You get to make hundreds of thousands of choices in games, yet all of those choices, each and every single one of them, was just another predetermined set path created by the developer. Is that true freedom? I think this is a major question Deltarune is trying to ask us. Noelle mentioned that she played the secret evil route in a game in Chapter 4, and here Chris is playing a game where instead of befriending monsters, you slay them. Of course, there's the secret evil route in Deltarune too, dubbed the weird route by fans. You can make some pretty horrible decisions that lead to that scene from earlier. So there are two ways that freedom makes this game feel more disturbing. First, look back at the sword game real quick. That feeling you get when you reach the sword and realize that you only have one choice is probably just a glimpse of how Chris feels when you make awful decisions in the weird route. They don't want to hurt people, but they're powerless to stop you. No matter how they may try to deviate from the path that you've chosen, it's totally impossible. This goes a step further, however, that delves into theory territory, so grab the folder again, we'll come back to this in a bit. The second reason is actually the final part of why this game is so unsettling. Guilt. Knowing that you're in control of the lives of these powerless characters creates a surprisingly impactful sense of guilt. Obviously, Deltarune is just a video game, and these are all fictional characters, a fact that the game subtly points out in a scene with Noelle and Susie from Chapter 4. Noelle mentions playing an evil route in one of her favorite games, and Susie said that she did the same thing by accident. Is Noelle a bad person for playing this secret evil route? Is Susie? No, of course not. Equally, are you a bad person for playing the weird route? No, I don't think you are. That doesn't make these scenes any less disturbing though. The reason for that is because you had a direct hand in causing them, and crucially, Chris knows that someone or something is making them do this. In another game like Skyrim, you can choose to be a purely unethical assassin who kills for the fun of it. Your character in Skyrim is you, or at least as close as they can be to you. They're your avatar in this world. In Deltarune, on the other hand, Chris is their own person. They're not a blank slate, they're a vessel. They have their own personality, thoughts, memories, and feelings completely separate from your own. Furthermore, there exists a normal route that you can go down, one with far less suffering, at least so far, and you actively have to go out of your way to reach the weird route. You can't really stumble into it, and even if you do, you have to intentionally choose to continue it. Again and again and again, you choose to proceed. Not Chris, not Toby, not Gaster, you. The story of being controlled by a superdimensional being and forced to commit these heinous acts against your will, all while you're fully aware that it's happening and totally unable to stop it, is outstandingly dreadful and deeply disturbing. So that's why Deltarune is such an unsettling game, or at least why it can be. The contrast between what most of the game is like and these darker moments. The fact that you're the one causing the worst events in the game to occur, and the guilt that you feel from doing so. Now, while all of this is interesting, it's not particularly complicated, right? Well, unlike the gameplay section, there's no real trick here. The narrative and writing of Deltarune are misunderstood by a lot of people who play it. The actual reason why, though, is pretty simple. At least I think it is. Let me explain. The first and most obvious reason that we can't understand the story of Deltarune yet is the fact that it isn't finished. It's releasing chapter by chapter, and we're only on number 5 out of 7. For a quick refresher, Deltarune is a game that takes place in a small town with a bunch of monster inhabitants and one human named Chris. There's a separate world or worlds called the Dark World where inanimate objects gain life and sentience. These dark worlds can be created by this thing called the Roaring Night, or by anyone with a sharp object and enough concentration. Susie and Chris, our main protagonists, along with their friend Rolf, Halsey have to seal the Dark Fountains to prevent an apocalyptic world-ending event called the Roaring. The Roaring Night keeps kidnapping people for reasons we don't understand yet. There's a bunker in town that's locked for reasons we don't understand yet. There's some kind of conspiracy going on with the town's mayor that we don't understand yet. You see why the whole game isn't done thing answers most of this question? But that's it. We go seal the fountains, beat the bad guys and convert them into good guys, overcome primordial beings, and roll credits. This level of relative simplicity exists in the theories as well. December Holiday, otherwise known as Des, the missing daughter of the mayor, is almost certainly the true identity of the Roaring Knight. They both have horns, the Knight uses a baseball bat, something we know Des used. The Knight is likely a foil to Susie, and Des would also fit that role. The first time we see the Knight is in front of a Christmas tree, and to reach said Christmas tree we have to type in the password of 1225, also known as Christmas, a December holiday. Not sure how much more obvious it could be, and again, none of this is that complicated. Yet this is where the second of 3 reasons the story is hard to understand comes in. Simply put, a lot of the fandom for this game is relatively young. For a lot of people, this is the first time they've ever deeply analyzed a piece of media on their own. Naturally, they're gonna be pretty bad at it, just like I was when I started making videos or cycling or writing, and just like you were when you started whatever you're currently really good at. That's simply how humans work. We have to be bad at things before we can be good at them. It's annoying, but it's unavoidable, and there's nothing wrong with that. The final and significantly more depressing reason this game is hard to understand is something much more universal. It's something that bothers me nearly every day, and it's something that I'm sure you've experienced yourself. The lack of media literacy. Not among Deltarune fans, mind you, but among people in general. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be some all-knowing genius who can perfectly understand any story he experiences, instantly predict every plot twist, and effortlessly dissect the creator's intentions, because trust me, I'm not. Yet, even I can recognize that a concerningly large number of people truly can't understand the media that they consume unless it's painfully simple and straightforward. I mean, I'm a YouTuber, I deal with this kind of thing on a daily basis. Have you seen comments on the internet? The whole waffles and pancakes thing isn't a joke. These are the 3 primary reasons why the story and writing of Deltarune are hard to understand. The story isn't finished, the fandom is young, and media literacy is just not very good. However, would you believe me if I said that this lack of understanding is, in a way, actually a positive thing? Let me show you why. Let's start by grabbing that folder from before, the one about not being able to deviate from the set path. There are actually levels to this. So this character in the game that Chris is playing, this little guy right here, is not free. They are bound by the rules of the game world and the decisions of Chris. That's the first level. Chris, however, is also not free. This one is a bit more obvious. They're bound by the decisions of the player controlling them. That's level 2. Where I think this gets really interesting though, and where I think Toby Fox is making his statement about this medium, is in the 3rd level. The player, you and me, is also not free. We are bound by the story that the developer wants to tell. Remember, every choice we can make in this game was already planned well in advance by the developers. We may believe that the weird route is going off course and breaking the game, but even that in itself was designed by Toby Fox. It's just another set path. And here's how I interpret this. In Undertale, Toby asked the question of why we always have to fight in RPGs and in video games in general. He questioned the necessity of violence in these stories by creating one without it. In Deltarune, he's questioning the true meaning of freedom. We obviously don't yet know how this story will conclude, but right now, it seems to me like the idea he's trying to communicate, or at least get us to consider, is the question of whether or not you can ever actually be free in a world where every single choice and potential path was laid out for you in advance. So what does all of this have to do with a lack of understanding? Well, if you played the game yourself, and especially if you think about it a lot, you might have one of 2 reactions to my interpretation. You might go, wow, that's really clever. What a smart, handsome, and well-spoken individual this Swooser guy is. I should both subscribe to this channel and support him on patreon.com. Or you might be thinking, buddy, you are dumb as bricks, what are you talking about? This is obviously wrong. However, the fact that the story isn't done and is so inherently mysterious creates a conversation here. If we did have clear answers, and if everyone agreed on them, there would be nothing to discuss. And I think those discussions and theories, no matter how wild they may seem, do provide genuine value and joy. On the more lighthearted side of things, this mysterious nature and these countless open-ended questions that are constantly disagreed upon are what I believe creates the obsession with Deltarune. It's why people who play this game get so deeply invested in it. You see, from my point of view, the purpose of theorizing and analyzing has become a bit distorted in recent years. In fact, Chapter 5 and its reception are perhaps the perfect microcosm of this idea. People were so lost in the lore and the theories that they started to have some pretty wild expectations for this chapter. Assumptions that the Roaring would begin, the Knight's true identity would be revealed, Gaster would show up, the vessel from the very start of the game would come back and get revenge. All of these are exciting, sure, but there's a problem problem with them. They're all focused on answers rather than questions, on destinations over journeys. Chapter 5 is about enjoying the journey. That's the main theme here. That's why there's so much whimsical nonsense going on. But crucially, there's an even more important message here. The chapter poses the question of, is there a point to a journey that you know has to end? My most memorable moment from this chapter wasn't some massive lore reveal or a totally unpredictable plot twist. It was this moment right here, when Ralsei tells us that we can't bring the flowers with us to Castletown. Unlike every other chapter where the characters that we meet continue to exist, once this chapter ends and once we close that fountain, these 7 are gone. That revelation hit me pretty hard, and it was something that was in the back of my mind through the rest of the chapter. In a way, this is probably the darkest chapter yet, since every single character we meet here will likely never be seen again. Yet it was Susie's response to this idea that stuck with me even more. Instead of lamenting this fact or crashing out about it, she says, we'll just enjoy hanging out while we're here. Simply put, instead of focusing on the unavoidable fact that this will all come to an end, we turn our attention to the present, to the here and now, to the journey. You can even extrapolate this idea out on a more meta level. Once you roll credits on chapter 7, that's it. You'll never see Susie, Chris, Ralsei, or any of these characters again. Once Deltarune is over, they're gone. Is that really something we want to rush towards? This is why I say the reception of chapter 5 is so ironic. In hyperfixating on the answers, the destinations, many people failed to enjoy the chapter itself and its messaging. The journey. The goal of a theory is not, nor has it ever been, to solve these games or stories. The goal is to explore them on a deeper level, to think about them in a more curious and inquisitive way. Ultimately, theories are just an excuse to have more fun with this thing that you already enjoy. Theories aren't about the answers they provide or the conclusions that they reach. It's the exploration of ideas and hypotheticals, the deep dives into possibilities, and the willingness to scrutinize, question, and discover your own answers. The act of discovering is the whole point, not the discovery itself. Before we part, I'd like to leave you with this. Deltarune is obviously a special game, from the narrative to the characters to the theories to even the often overlooked gameplay. However, I don't actually think any of these individual pieces are the reason I find the game to be so special. And even stranger still, it's not just because of the quality. No, it's something far deeper and more interesting. Deltarune is special because it does what all great works of art do. It forces you to stop for a moment and ask, why? Why do we care about choices in games when everything is on a set path? Why do we have to fight to progress? Why are we still arguing over who the knight is when it's so obviously Des? We may not yet know exactly what Deltarune is, nor what it's going to be, but for as long as you can continue looking at this work of art and asking why, you'll probably be obsessed with